otherwise known as a real estate interest investment trust. This is, let me give you a straight up definition that I got from Investopedia, which Investopedia is a great resource for you to do some research, to learn some of these words, to try to understand more about some of the phrases that you may read about or see about when you're trying to research a company or anything like that. But a real estate investment trust, or otherwise known as a REIT, is a company that owns, operates, or finances income generating real estate. It's modeled after mutual funds, which we'll talk about mutual funds here in a second. REITs pool together the capital of numerous investors. This makes it possible for individual investors such as you and I to earn dividends from real estate investments without having to buy, manage, or finance any properties ourselves. So basically, real estate investment trusts, or REITs, are basically a way for us to take away the hassle of being like a landlord when you buy a property, a rental property, and you rent it out, and you have to like fix all the stuff within the house. You have to make sure that your renters are paying their rent on time. You have to do all that stuff. It basically removes the headache and allows you to invest in them. So the idea of a REIT is pretty simple. You are the investor. You bring your money and you give it to whatever that REIT is. It can be a mortgage REIT, which there are all types of different kinds of REITs, which we'll go through a couple here in a second. There are all kinds of different types. So you can have a mortgage REIT or a industrial REIT or a data center REIT, whatever. You give them the money. They use that money. They invest it. They buy different assets. They own the assets, but they pay you whenever the income comes from rental income or interest is made or whatever, they pay that back to you. Now, the cool thing about a REIT is about 90% of their income has to be paid back out to the investors, which is one of the reasons why people love REITs. You get some of the highest dividends when you're looking at investment. So let's go through a couple of different types of REITs. You can have a mortgage REIT, which a mortgage REIT is basically a REIT based around giving people loans for their mortgages. Or you can have a residential REIT, which is like your apartment properties or those kind of things, townhouses, those type of places. Then you can have industrial REITs, such as warehouses and those kind of things. You can have healthcare REITs, which is you can have wellness centers, nursing homes, hospitals, those kind of things as well can be in REITs. Data center, like I said earlier, especially with that growing a little bit more, where we're moving more to the cloud and all those kind of things. So you can have that as well. So REITs are a great way if you're trying to make high amount of dividends. REITs are a great way to do it because 90% of whatever income that the REIT makes, they have to pay that out. However, not all REITs are made equally. So we're not talking about dividends. If you compare, like, for example, Microsoft's dividend, for example, Microsoft dividend ratio is dividend yield is about 1.24%, which is not a bad percentage. But when you compare it to something like a REIT, for example, Realty Income Corp is an example of a REIT. They pay out a dividend ratio, a dividend yield of about 4.93%. So you can see the big difference. And then when you look at their payout ratio, for Realty Income Corp, they pay out a payout at about 80%, where Microsoft only pays about 36% of their profits, which makes sense. For a REIT, they have to pay out about 90% of their profits back to the investors who put the money in, where on the other side, Microsoft is a company that has to reinvest into itself using its profits to continue generating more profits, if that makes any sense. So that's another type of investment that you can buy into, real estate investment trust. It removes all the headaches of like actually you having to have like a good amount of money to go buy a property, and most of the time you probably don't have all that much money to buy the property, so you end up buying a cheaper property, which means you have to fix up the property, and then when you fix it, you have to put a whole lot of money if you want for you to actually get real estate, to get a rental property up and running. Where on a REIT, you can just invest in a company that already owns property, and then it's a lot easier for you to start seeing some of those returns. However, when you compare a REIT to actual real estate, more money in, more money out. You see more money immediately from real estate. Or REITs, it takes you, just like investing in anything else, when it comes to the stock market, it takes a much longer time to get to the point where you're going to see a substantial amount of income coming out of it.